I couldn't think of a better summer track if we tried. The Isley Brothers and Summer Breeze on 92.1 Wirral Radio on DAB and online. And I can't stop myself saying 21 degrees today. Summer is finally here. But don't get carried away, because Saturday, guess what? It's raining. It's raining on Saturday.
Bring us back to earth with a bump.
No, I might be wrong. They often are.
So we've had a nice a nice week, and now we're forecast rain. Once again, good morning to Paul and Donal, who've joined us today.
I got 'em.
From Advanced Business Vision and their Morecrofts Solicitors. They are your business gurus today. They're going to be talking business. So how are you two gents? You okay?
Fabulous. Yeah,
great. Yeah, really good. With the weather like this, what can you do but smile? Fantastic.
Well, move your office into the into a field.
Why can't we do an OB outside, sitting out there in that lovely sunshine? It'd be fantastic.
I'll talk to the gaffer.
Lovely.
House. So once again, any business questions, do feel free to get in touch. 0151 637 3737. Drop us a text the word Wirral, then your message to 66777, or email studio@wirralradio.co.uk. Now, follow on from last week's show, we mentioned last week to the pair of you about someone who was doing cakes.
I remember it well. You've brought some in, obviously.
He's not brought any cakes in. He's formalised his business and he's going for it.
Excellent news.
Brilliant.
So he took your advice, he's formalised it, and he's going for it.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, absolutely.
So
super.
he took your advice on board, and he's gone for it from there.
Great.
But he wants to know now, what is the best way to go about advertising and promoting his business?
Well, we say this every week as well, don't we, about, the most cost-effective way. Depends on what type of business you are, obviously. But as we say every single week, the best recommendation is word of mouth. Advertising, word of mouth, Many social media platforms out there today which are inevitably free of charge. Use them wisely. Look at what you're trying to do. Now, your friend who's making cakes, that's going to be a very visual business. So think about the social media platforms out there that are particularly visually based. We're not going to mention any names, but there are a couple out there, okay? Use those particularly to get your message across with great content and great images of what you do, and just keep pushing out there, and over time you will generate an interest. Your brand and your awareness of your business will raise, and hopefully that will then generate actual live business for you. But the key to any social media content, as we say every single week, is about if you're using a couple of social media platforms, and I would suggest that you look at your business and see which is the best platform for you. Don't just go, we're going to use them all. Think logically about the ones that are more appropriate for your business. So let's say you're using 2 social media platforms. Hopefully you've also got a website. Use triangulation where you bring the 3 together. So drive your social media to your followers, to your target market, which then hopefully will drive that traffic to your website to look at your products in more detail. Because as we know, on social media, normally you're limited to the type of content or the amount of content you can actually put on there. So always a good idea to link that to your website, to maybe a blog, a vlog. Yeah, a vlog, video log. Okay, come on, Adam, catch up. A vlog, a video log. So you may be on screen on a video talking, on about your business and showing people what you do. And I think that may be a great opportunity for your colleague who's making cakes. Maybe you could do like a cookery masterclass sort of thing of how to do these things and really generate some interest, share some recipes potentially. But as we say every week, social media really is about sharing information, gaining that interest, gaining that following, and then bringing it back. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute he doesn't look at what we call traditional marketing in favour of the digital marketing I've just mentioned. There is a place for it, but that always comes with a cost element, obviously. Printed materials, leaflets, flyers, whatever. There's a place for all of those things, but it comes with a cost. Whereas with digital marketing, it is relatively cost effective and maybe even cost free. So I would suggest look at that.
Yeah, I think the problem with leaflets is that they're very often just binned as soon as they're delivered.
I was just about to say that. Do you think they're still cost effective?
No, I don't think they are.
I said, I don't believe they are, but maybe there's a place for them in his business. It depends on what he wants to do with it. But yeah, as Donal and you guys have just said, there's a cost involved there. So why would you take on a cost when you can do something virtually free of charge?
I think it's really to get going. I think he should be going into things like wedding shows and that, showing his cupcakes and so on, and its big cakes and stuff, because that's a great way of promoting your business and what you're about, and obviously having free samples there and so on. Word will quickly get around, and I think, as Paul was saying as well, it's important that when you are using social media that it is consistent. They're all aimed at different audiences. So you have to think about what you're going to be doing with each of those platforms. I can't really mention the particular one, but there's one particularly aimed at businesses, and the others are more social in that respect. But even on the social ones, you can talk about having parties or what you've done with your cupcakes, or what what fair you've been to, and so on. And that can pique interest. And again, as Paul said about the videos, that's a very effective way of climbing the rankings and the likes of search engines and so on. So it adds to search engine optimization, which is about how you get your website ranked, as we know, within the major players. And the more content you can put on that is valuable, visual content particularly, it will help you climb the rankings and get up there. So it's a great way of doing it, But as Donal said, maybe fairs, opportunities to actually go live and show your product. People then will come along and take an interest, take some information away from you. But it's something like that, you're going to need business cards to know where to get you, and that's a great way of doing that. So maybe in printed materials, but as we all agree, social media helping your website's optimization, and it's about utilising keywords, key phrases, basically on a website. Now, I'm not the expert in my business on webs and social media. I've got a guy who particularly handles that for me. So in my limited knowledge, I'll give some help. It really is about using keywords, key phrases. You can now embed text into images. Okay, which then, when the major search engine, which I'm not going to mention, which we all know who it is, starts looking at your website, looking at your material, it will see these things and go, oh, he's doing that, oh, they're doing that, and it automatically addresses it and moves it. Now, with any form of web-based advertising, particularly on a website, you've got to constantly do what we call search engine optimization. You've got to optimize your website, not just once and leave it and go away and think, you know what, I've done that, fantastic. Because you will drop down the rankings, because everybody else in that type of business will be doing the same sort of thing, hopefully. So the more you do, the higher you get up the rankings and the ratings. You cannot just go, I did that 6 months ago. Hang on a minute, why aren't I on page 1 anymore? The reason is, because you need to be consistent at it. And as Donal said earlier, it's like any form of marketing within a business. You cannot expect to do it once and then just walk away and think, I've done it. Why aren't I getting any business from it? It has to be maintained, it has to be consistent over time. And as we always say every week, you need to invest time in your business by working on your business to get the results you need. So it's a matter of producing something and keeping it rolling out there over time. Which is why most people employ search engine optimization companies who do nothing else but this. You have to pay them a monthly retainer, but they basically make sure all those keywords are tagged to other things in the internet, so that if anybody makes a search against a certain word, then your web page is more likely to reach the top, the front page. So the more you keep it up to date, the more news stories, video blogs, that sort of thing that you have on there, the more likely you are to be on the first page, because research has shown that most people will only probably check out the first 3 pages. Absolutely. And they won't go to the next wherever they may be behind it. So to promote your business effectively, you really do need to think about that and get the proper experts on board to help you build your page. I agree totally. And I must admit, I was with my guy who does all my webs for me this week and whatever, and we had a meeting and we were just looking at our own search engine optimization, and I had a question to him. I said, so why aren't we on page 1 anymore? He said, because we've been focusing on other things. Now what I've now targeted him to do is to look at the keywords, get those phrases absolutely bang up to speed, so we're back on that first page. Now normally on the major search engine player, you have a number of what we call paid adverts between numbers 1 and number 4. It's usually from number 4 down, where it has actually based on your own ranking within the search engine companies. So it is vital that you get on page 1, or if not 1, on 2. But the more work you put in, like we say in everything, the more you get out of it. So go and do it, get on there. Brilliant. Right, on the way for you got some Stereophonics. I've got a question for Donal, because you triggered something in my mind before when you said freebies. I've got several questions for you in the word freebies. Freebies.
Brilliant track from the Stereophonics, Handbags and Glad Rags on 92.1. I think I prefer the Rod Stewart version.
Not that voice.
Not a Rod fan?
No, it's from great records, but no, that particular track, definitely not.
Paul Wharmby and Donal Bannon then from the business gurus. So any business questions, feel free to get in touch today. Whether it's little, large, it doesn't matter what it is, get in touch. 66777. Put the word Wirral in front of your text. Give us a phone call, 637 3737, or email at studio@wirralradio.co.uk. Donal, you said before about freebies. A lot of businesses have open days and freebies, and they give out all these taster sessions and that. There must be so much red tape in giving out freebies to people.
Why do you say that?
Because he's not getting any. Apologies.
No, there isn't actually. There's no law that says you can't give away things for free. It just doesn't make economic sense to do so unless there's a reward at the end of the process. Obviously, people mark up various gift items, maybe mugs, key rings, whatever it may be. They've got their logo, their name on it. That's getting their name out there, brand awareness, and so on. So that sort of makes sense. But most freebies aren't really that generous, are they? They just tend to be novelty items.
Are you thinking more along the lines of the Christmas gift, where in days gone by, and I'm showing my age now, it would be more appropriate, in inverted commas, for a company to take their best customer a really generous bottle of whiskey or a case of wine or whatever at Christmas and say, thanks for your business in the year, here's this. That could be classed as a benefit in kind from an accounting point of view. And HMRC have clamped down an awful lot with things like that. But as Donal says, if you're giving key rings away or little torches or cupcakes or whatever, that's not an issue.
There's actually 2 points on that. There's not just the tax side. As you say, nowadays, it used to be that if you spent money on entertaining and so on, that used to be a deductible expense from your business profits. Not any longer. It's added back in. Some time ago.
Added back in.
So you actually are paying tax on that full whack. So that's a discouraging thing to do anyway. And then secondly, of course, the other side of this is, if you're talking about taking clients out to fly them over to Europe, let's say to watch a football match or something like that, then that could be conceived to be a bribe. And of course now we've got all these anti-bribery legislation, so one has to be very careful about that. It's one thing to reward or say thank you, but it's quite another if you're going for a particular contract up against other competitors and you say, well, let's take you away to this lap of luxury and say, at the end of it, I hope you enjoyed yourself and think about me when you come to decide who to award the contract to. There's a big difference.
It's a bit of a minefield, really, isn't it?
Well, there's a very well-known football organisation, for example, who's in the news at the moment.
You featured about a month and a half. Who's
that? A classic example of corruption and bribery.
Right,
but even on a smaller scale, people are very wary now about treating customers and potential customers.
Lots of organisations, when they take on a supplier, and specifically in my role, if I get engaged with a company to do a contract and provide some service and some advice and whatever, sometimes in their terms and conditions it clearly states no gifts, no nothing, it's just that's it, and you have to sign an agreement to say you're not going to approach anybody and say, listen, just thank you very much for that, here's a little whatever, as a genuine gratitude, an offering of gratitude. It's a no-no in a lot of businesses. Lots of major organisations, as Donal said, have been sort of caught out. One in the news very, very recently, and now is being investigated. It's just the way it is. Things have tightened up an awful lot now, and it can be seen to be frowned upon. So just as Donal says, really just look at what you're doing. But little gifts, little freebies, no problem at all.
But onto the little freebies as well, away from the big major corporations who obviously they can give cars and £10,000 goodie bags to different people and that. Onto the smaller companies who do give things away and do give, for example, like taster sessions as well.
Yes.
For example, if something was to go wrong with that freebie, have the public got a leg to stand on with it being a freebie?
Well, potentially it would, yeah. If you're supplying something tangible, like it's hard to think, but something which goes wrong and somebody suffers an injury from that, then yeah, potentially you would be liable. It seems unlikely, though. It depends what it is you're handing out, whether it be a mug or a key ring or whatever. But
because the world we live in now, people are looking to just to sue any way they get. We're getting like the Americans in that sense.
Well, I mean, I think that's the perception. In reality, anybody who's actually thinking of a claim will run that past a lawyer, and who normally 9 times out of 10 will say, well, actually, you don't have a claim.
Yeah.
You know, there is that safeguard there. I think it's only a perception in the likes of some right-wing newspapers in this country that we've got a problem when we don't. If anything, the evidence shows that the number of claims are actually reducing over the last 5 to 10 years. So we don't have a problem in this country. But in terms of, obviously there will be some genuine claims out there, and obviously the insurers, most businesses will have insurance. If they don't, they should get some.
Yeah, absolutely. We say that every week, yeah.
If you're going to be making things, and you need product liability insurance, so that if it does go wrong, at least there's a big pocket of money there to bail you out, rather than having to fund it yourself. But if you're in just small ticket items, it's unlikely that they're going to go wrong anyway, isn't it?
I think maybe you were homing in on the freebies at sort of food events and whatever.
Maybe as well.
What if you're cooking cooking some food live, giving that away as a taster, and there's an element of something that goes wrong with that, i.e., food poisoning or whatever,
an allergy.
Or an allergy. Yes, I thought you were thinking along those lines, or maybe drinking something that doesn't quite agree with me.
Well, again, it's about presentation, isn't it? So if you're worried about allergies, then you make it quite clear at the start. You have what we call a disclaimer, saying that these foods may contain nuts or whatever it may be. So if you're allergic, then obviously don't consume any. And similarly, depending on what it is you're cooking, you're unlikely to get food poisoning unless we're talking about meat and poultry in particular. And again, if you're prepared things properly and you use proper hygiene, that's again not unlikely to happen. But certainly would be a terrible advertisement to be giving away food for people who become drastically ill. So I think it's worth putting an extra special effort to make sure that doesn't happen.
Make sure, do your homework, as we say.
It's a key phrase in this advice.
Do your homework.
I don't think our cupcake man needs to worry about that.
No, I think he's fine.
Brilliant. Right, message in of a listener. Most weeks you talk about planning and having some sort of plan. So why do I need a business plan? He's had this business for 3 years running. Right. Why should he have a business plan now? 3 years down the line, there's nothing wrong with his business. Why? Okay, good question. I'm glad to hear he's doing well 3 years down the line. That's great, And I do take your point. A lot of people think, why do I need this? Why should I spend some time by doing this? And there's a lot of people out there who say, don't ever do a business plan because you don't need it. Well, I'll spin that on its head and say, actually, you do, or you should be thinking about it for 2 reasons, really. You need to have a focus. Sometimes we all get caught up in our day-to-day business activities, whatever we do. We forget to look at our specific business and how it is performing. So really, it's about looking at, not just looking at a business plan as something you do once. So let's say a company needs to go and raise some funds, some finance, maybe from a bank, whatever. The first thing the bank will say is, have you got a business plan? And is it live? Is it up to date? So people do a business plan either when they're starting a business or when they need to raise some capital to do something else. They then think that is it. They do it. They present it. They get what they need and they stick it in a drawer. What a waste of time. Sorry. The business plan should be reviewed, monitored and looked at. It gives you a snapshot in time at that moment of where you think your business is and hopefully where it actually is. But if you look at it over time, you can compare. So you can look at it 6 months down the line, hopefully not that long, maybe a couple of months down the line, think, this is what we said we were going to do. How are we actually doing against that plan? Use it as a review document. At the very least, use it as a review document. A business plan will identify some of the key drivers within a business, and we talk quite frequently here on this slot about business finance, about the need to make a profit, about the need to ensure that your cash flow, the king of businesses, cash is king, is right. Without a business plan and without some sort of measurement in place, you're not going to be able to do that. Yes, you've got your bank statement, but isn't it nice to look at it in a broader statement and go, this is where we are, this is where we need to be, and that allows you to make changes. So for me, a business plan is not something you do once and stick it in a drawer. It's something you do and you monitor and you look at, and maybe you move it on. It should be fluid, it should be liquid, and it should really reflect the state of your business at any point in time. Now, many people out there, business advisors, will say, that's a load of rubbish, Paul, I'm sorry. You don't need to do it.
I don't agree.
Nor
I don't
do I.
agree. Don't agree.
No, as Paul rightly says, it's a living thing. It evolves. It's not only for review purposes, but also to identify what objectives you haven't achieved, and if so, why. And also, maybe you've changed focus. Maybe you've decided, well, actually, I'm not going to pursue that line any longer. It's not economical or whatever. This is my new target market. You can then amend your plan to fulfill those objectives as well. So, no, absolutely, you definitely need a plan, and especially, as you say, when you want to raise finance in any event.
Definitely. I mean, I had a client a couple of months back who came to me and he said, look, we're needing to raise some finance, some additional finance. We want to invest in our business a bit more. And I said, that's fantastic. Where are you going for your finance? Can we talk about that? And he was quite open and honest with me, and he said, yeah, I'm going to go to my bank. Fantastic. He said, but the bank have come up with a list of criteria that they need before they will even consider talking to me about this. They want to see this a week, at least 10 days in advance, so they can really digest it. And I said, what is it they want? He said, they want a business plan. And I said, right, so? He said, I haven't got one. I said, right, no problem at all. I can help you with that. We can sit down with your management team and we can work our way through that. He said, I remember doing one about 4 years ago. Typical situation. And you know what? That was it. I've never done it since. I've never even thought about it. And I said, look, before we even engage, I need to know where your business is now, what your aspirations are and your visions and your goals and your objectives, and what you're going to target yourself in doing to get your business from point A to point B. Because if you don't do that, you're just flying by the seat of your trousers, basically, and maybe years ago you could do that, but the world we live in today is a lot smarter, isn't it? It's a lot smarter. You can no longer write your things on the back of a fag packet.
And there's always a lot more competition as well.
Correct. Who probably will be doing the things that we're suggesting that every business does today. Just because you're not doing it or not considering it, don't think for 1 minute your competitors aren't, because most likely they will be. And if they're doing it for a reason, aren't they? So get up to the mark, raise the bar, so to speak, and get on and do it,
And the other thing the bank certainly will want to see is a cash flow.
Oh, absolutely,
forecast, projection, whatever you want to call it. Not least, it helps you identify if you're going to have any problems in a particular month. You can then alert the bank in advance and say, we're expecting, it could be a problem this month. We perhaps need to extend our overdraft just for a short period there. As long as the bank's forewarned, they can see what's going to happen. They're more than happy to support you rather than suddenly run out of money and panic phone call to the bank and say, can't pay their wages this week, So the business plan and cash flow forecast actually go together.
Yes, absolutely.
Both equally important, and any self-respecting lender will want to see those if you want some finance.
Definitely.
Right, final touches on that in a few moments' time. I'm going to play you both the track now that you both like. The Style Council.
Oh,
fabulous.
And Long Hot Summer.
Lovely.
21 degrees today, don't forget that.
Wirral Radio Daytime, brought to you by
Another fantastic laid-back summer track on 92.1 Wirral Radio. It is the Style Council and Long Hot Summer. We're having a long hot week and then a drizzly weekend, so make the most of it. And for the fourth time, 21 degrees today, so get your shorts on and go out and go and do something. Business gurus in Donal and Paul in for a few more minutes left yet. They are your business gurus here every single Thursday, chatting business and, well, to be fair, business advice, legal advice, everything that you want to know, whether it be big or whether it be small, you can get in touch with these gents. They do know their stuff. Believe you me, I've had many a chat off the air. They know their music, they know their drinks, they know everything.
Sound like having a party.
Yeah, great.
Sounds good to me.
They know everything. We were talking briefly about business plans. It's a tough thing to put together, because I've tried to put one together before and I've fallen apart dreadfully. And is it a tough thing to put together?
No, well, again, it needs a level of understanding and knowledge, So as a business owner, as a business manager, you need to know why you're putting the business plan together, and that should be for you and your business, for nobody else. People often say, we need to tailor a business plan to suit our financial provider, like we said earlier, the bank or whatever. Well, no, because a business plan should capture all the elements needed for you to drive your business forward, to understand where it is now, where you want to be, but more importantly, to build that bridge on how to get there, which is what we call that strategic approach. So stand back from your business and look at it logically. But a couple of key points I'm going to give on business planning. A good business plan should always provide an executive summary which basically covers the whole thing in a paragraph. What you're going to do, why you're going to do it, how you're going to get there. And then start with like the background of your business. So who are you? What is your business? What does your business do? And why you want to move your business in the direction you want to move it to. So that should be encapsulated in what we call the background. And then look at the current position within your business. So you're giving a flavour to someone who wants to look at this, yeah? So your current position could be, tell us a little bit about your company and where it is right now. So it could be, you know, we trade from the Wirral Media Centre here in Leeso, tell us about the resources within your company. Tell us about the staff within your company. We call that, in technical terms, in business terms, a resource audit. So we look at what skill sets you've got within the business, who the key people are, what specific skills they have to allow you to drive your business forward, and then also a little bit of a flavour about the finances, you know, the share capital if it's a limited company. Tell us a little bit about if it's a partnership, if you're a sole trader, in that slot, the current position. And then we move on to what we would call market, and the market opportunities and market segments. Now by that, and we talk about marketing most weeks, I mean look at things like where your company will operate, how it will operate, and to what customers. And as we've said in the past, it's no good just thinking, flying there by the seat of your trousers again, thinking, I've got some cracking products here, or a great service. Hang on a minute, where am I going to sell that? It's a bit too late. Do that homework. We call that analysis the marketing mix, and it covers what we call the 5 Ps, and I've done that in the past, so I won't bore people again. Then look at what we call a gap analysis. Is there a gap in the market for you to operate in? Or more importantly, is there a market in the gap? Yeah, you've got to look at both things there to get that one right. And again, how will you fill that gap? How will you market into that gap? You might want to be what we call a bespoke business, whereby, or a niche business, whereby there may be nobody else out there. You know what I mean?
Brilliant. Right, sadly, we're out of time.
Full flow.
Out of time. I do apologise. I've got to cut you short there. You are back next week there. Very quick.
Are.
How do we get in touch for advice off the radio?
Okay. My company is Advanced Business Vision, so the website for me is www.advancedbusinessvision.com. Dedicated telephone line 0151 668 0363, 0151 668 0363. My Twitter handle is @ABV_LTD. Donal's from Morecrofts Solicitors in Liverpool. Same dedicated line, 0151 668 0363. Website is morecrofts.co.uk, and their Twitter handle is @Morecrofts.
Thank you, Paul.
Gents, thank you very much.
No problem. See you next week.
Have a great day.
Thanks a million.
Enjoy the sun.
We will, thank you.
And we'll see you same time next week. OMI is going to the Wirral newsroom at 11 o'clock on 92.1 Wirral Radio.